We are here. Formula Drift Japan, Suzuka Twin Circuit. Round 1, the first of the year, 2017 series, kicking off here at Suzuka Twin. Hello everyone watching out there on the internet. I'm here with Ryan Sage from the United States. We are your commentators for today's proceedings. We're about to begin qualifying for round 1 here at Suzuka Twin Circuit. The sky a little bit cloudy. The surface of the track very wet. It's going to be interesting today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Certainly the conditions have changed pretty dramatically. We got a big pour down for about 15 to 20 minutes, and so it's left the track in a very, very slick condition considering the amount of grip that was laid down on the track yesterday. So drivers will certainly be challenged, but this is the first event of the year, and challenges are certainly part of winning a championship here. We've got all the regular customers like Andrew Gray and Masashi Yokoi and Mad Mike back this year. But today is really all about qualifying. It's trying to find out who the top 32 drivers are going to be out of 34. So there's going to be 2 guys that are going to be out of competition here, Alexi. And obviously, given the challenges that we're going to be facing with the course, it's certainly going to be a tough ride for a lot of these guys to kind of get their bearings a little bit.
That's right. Well, like as you said, challenges are part of the first round of the season, and quite a few of these guys are in brand new cars. The sun has come out a little bit, but the track still wet condition. On the upside, though, all these guys did manage to have a practice session in the wet. Very torrential conditions there here at the Suzuka Twin Circuit before, which has left the track very wet. But the weather fairly warm compared to recent days. So I'm sort of wondering what the track is going to do after this. If it's going to dry up. We do have some standing water out there as well.
But you can definitely see on the track some of the steam starting to come up from the surface with the sun out.
Yeah.
I imagine what's going to happen is the first few runs it'll probably be in the condition that it's in right now, and then over time it'll slowly get more and more drier. So drivers will certainly have to strategize and figure out what they want to do. The judges in particular will adjust the way that they utilize the criteria given the condition. So you won't see, you may not see a big variance in the scores. It'll be basically based on a curve given the track condition.
So on top of that, the wet conditions make it even harder. So it should be some interesting qualifying. So what our program looks like today is qualifying top 32 solo runs from all of the drivers here. And as mentioned before, that includes people like last year's 2016 champion, Andy Gray. Other drivers which a lot of you may be familiar with. Masashi Yokoi, S15 Sylvia, sponsored by D-Max. Other drivers from last year who showed a bit of flair. Guys like Daichi Oshiro doing really well in practice. And some guys in brand new builds. And speaking of brand new cars, Mad Mike is out there today, but not in the Humble. Anyway, here we go with the first driver of today, Takatoshi Imemura, S14 Sylvia. So as you can see there, speed's not quite as high as what we like to see here at Suzuka Circuit, but still not a bad line there. Of course, the slower conditions make it a bit easier for these guys to hit the right line. Just tagging the finishing line marker there and completing his run there for Imameda.
Well, in dry conditions, certainly this track is really about full commitment and full throttle from the get-go coming out of the chicane. Here you have to kind of temper that a little bit because you can certainly go into the wall coming out of outer zone number 1 and in outer zone number 2. You can see Ima Maeda right here initiates and then throws it out towards the wall, slides right up to the outer zone, and misses that first inside clip as he wraps around the final turn here and heads home to the finish line. So he'll get a score for himself and put one in the books, but certainly drivers taking a little bit of caution here, and the judges, of course, judging each driver on their own merits given the track conditions.
Masayo Minowa. Now, if Minowa sounds familiar to you, you'd probably know the name Shinji Minowa from Heyman, the Heyman Workshop, but this is his wife. Masayo Minowa, the first female competitor here in Formula Drift Japan. Had a bit of a talk to her yesterday. Confidence not all that high, according to her. Of course, a lot of these guys will say that the competitors, I can't say guys there anymore, can I? A lot of the competitors here will claim they're nervous even when they're not. But I think it was quite genuine on her part, having to come down here and throw down from the start. So she's driving a JZX 100 Chaser, obviously built in the Heyman workshop. She's doing fairly good in practice. But, so this will be the first run by a female competitor in Formula Drift Japan. Okay, we have the result there for Imameda, a 64. So score there, Imameda, a score of 64.
And if you're wondering at home what the weight there was for the scores, one of the negatives of this rain was it apparently burnt out the computer pads that they use to do the scoring. So we've gone to the old analog system. So it's basically passing pieces of paper over. Yeah, this just happened within the last 5 minutes, I found out. So we will probably have a little bit of a longer qualifying session due to that.
That's right. We'll get used to it, I'm sure, quickly. Anyways, here we go. Masayo Minowa, first run by her. Big, long entry, but spit. Oh, wait.
Double incomplete.
Okay, that unfortunately, that is a double incomplete there. Spin, and also there are a few rules which, a few incidences that will cause an incomplete run, one of which you just saw there. The boot lid or trunk lid flying open there, any sort of latchables opening up, that causes an incomplete to be applied to that run. So unfortunately for her, spin, an opposite drift, or a latchable opening up, be it a door, hood. So there we go, 0 unfortunately there for Masayo Minowa on her first run. So all these drivers will get 2 qualifying runs here today. We're going to be running them not back to back. The entire field will have 1 run, and then the entire field will do their second run. Okay, next driver now, Wataru Masuyama. Now this is an interesting one. Young guy, he's about 24 years old. I believe just graduated from university. Previously driving an SR20 powered car looking very similar to this, but he's come out with a 2JZ powered car, S15 for Formula Drift Japan. Okay, we go the entry, nice big long entry, but a bit too ambitious there, sliding all the way off the edge of the course. Wow, I think that was a little bit too ambitious there for Masuyama in his S15. Unfortunately, that will be a 0. So Masuyama, right at the last second, we see quite a few people do that if they know they're not going to make that corner all the way around.
Yeah, let's take a look at this approach here. He certainly came into the initiation point with a lot of speed, probably a bit more than he needed, obviously, as he went off course here. And you can see right there that little counter steer into the outer zone, I think, can get real dangerous and treacherous if you lock it up there. So luckily he didn't go into the wall. He just was able to rotate out of it and get off course, but he will receive an incomplete, and that is a 0 score. But he'll have 1 more to go as we make our way through qualifying.
Yeah, it's a shame, a bit of a spin there for him. Masuyama also the winner of the Gakudori competition held late last year. Gakudori being a drifting competition only open to students who are students at universities or technical colleges. It's very specific. Okay, next driver now, Hubert Lee, JZX 100. And a nice center punch there for the... I think we can see right now how treacherous these conditions are. 3 zeros in a row. 3 spins in a row now. Hubert Lee, like another Formula Drift competitor, James Tang, hailing from Hong Kong. James Tang in Hubert's ear for quite some time now, saying you have to come over to Japan, you have to come to Japan. Now he's brought his JZX 100 over, which had previously competed in the series over in China. But here in Japan now for this season. So speaking of James Tang, here's our next competitor now. You can see there the BMW 1 Series, I believe it is.
Yep.
Looking really good. But powered by not one of Munich's finest engines. It's one of Japan's finest. 2JZ powered BMW. Here we go through the chicane. Of course, all the competitors in qualifying going through the chicane, as you can see. Really, really big counter steer entry there. Long slide. Right on the limit. A very slow entry there. I think James Tang trying a bit of a different technique. I mean, he may have seen the 3 people in front of him spin out. I thought he might try something a bit different, but it didn't pay off for him either.
Let's take a look at the replay here as we watch this really interesting approach here. A very lofty turn away from the wall and then towards the outer zone. You'll see he actually goes almost to the other side of the track.
Yeah.
Now here you can see he does get up against the wall, scrapes it right there, but as he gets back on the throttle to outer zone number 2, just a bit too much angle there mixed in with the amount of, or the lack thereof, of grip. And unfortunately, he is our 4th casualty in a row that receives an incomplete.
I'm just going to scribble down another 0 on the sheet here. 4 in a row. James Tang on his first qualifying run. Now this is going to be, I think this is going to be a bit difficult for Minoa, Masayama, Lee and Tang, because by the time they get round to their second run, I think it's going to be fairly dry, this course. So fairly difficult for them. Okay, next driver now. Junji Yamamoto, FD RX-7, powered by an 13B. It's a fairly traditional sort of build with this car. Here he comes in his approach. RX-7 winding up the revs. Entering very early, just taking a kind of a safe line here. Fairly close to the first in clip. Just tags the second. And a spin before the finish line. Wow. Okay, so that's, let me just write down another 0 here. Yamamoto taking what looked like a safe line. Let's watch the replay, but again, getting another 0.
Yeah, so we're seeing spins in all areas of the course here. He nearly made it. You'll see just the amount of e-brake he's going to grab here to try to keep angle in the car and not spin out. Right there, he grabs it. He's holding, gets back on it here. Is able to navigate around this first inside clip pretty decently, but as he approaches the second inside clip and the finish line, he's going to flick it back around. Right after this, he kind of straightens out there a little bit, and then just right there, the back end comes out, and right before the finish line, he goes off in the dirt, sadly.
Yeah, look at that. That's a shame there. So that's 5 zeros in a row. Now, Ryan, just I had a quick look over my right shoulder to the spotting stand, and basically more than that, almost everybody had this sort of nervous grin on their face. Looking at the last 5 drivers spinning out, I'm sure they're all wondering what to tell their drivers.
Yeah, we've seen something kind of like this before. Last year at Long Beach, we had a similar situation, except for it was actually much more treacherous. The course at Long Beach had variable surfaces from concrete to asphalt to old pavement, different things in between, and it really caused for a really uneven lack of grip. We saw a ton of cars go into the wall. We ended up canceling qualifying. It was the first time in 13 years that we'd ever done that. A little bit reminds me just a little bit of this, not in terms of the surface condition, but just in terms of the amount of drivers that are having a tough time with these conditions. But as you said, it does look like that the sun will continue to pour down on us, which is going to give us drier conditions over time, which means that the guys that do have that incomplete will have a challenging job when we get back around to the second run.
I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, so next driver now, Hayato Miyoshi, 4-door R34. Now this car, powered by a RB26 engine with HKS V-Cam, Truss Turbo, Nismo intake, and Blitz intercooler. So it's a real mix of Japanese parts. Here we go with his entry and another spin. Can he hold that? No, that's a straighten up there. How's your 0 collection going over there?
Well, we got 1 score so far out of 8. So.
1 score out of 8 so far. Wow. Let's look at this again. Wow. So Hayato Miyoshi in the 4-door R34 GTT Skyline.
Well, for those that are familiar with drifting, you can kind of tell right here that it's not going to happen. He tries to get back on it and keep angle in the car, but unfortunately he has to unwind it there. Just not enough momentum to carry it around and try to make it around that first inside clip. So he'll sit with an incomplete, and we'll move on to our next driver.
Yeah, so the trick with this course, as you can see from the replays there, as they come down the straight, the straight actually does continue. And we saw people spinning out in there before, but if you do commit to the course and try and make your way all the way around, it's basically just right there. You can see right at the front a wall there. So
well, definitely at this point, if I was a spotter, I would be saying, just make it around the course.
Yeah, well,
you've got eight guys ahead of you that or behind you that have incompletes and thus zeros, and you have a huge opportunity here to get at least one score in the book, which might be good enough since we've got 34, 35 drivers that are looking to fill those 32 spots.
That's right. Here we go. Next driver, Kanta Yanaguida. Young guy. He's about 17 years old. Here we go. This is sort of, whoa, and there you go. He committed to the corner. It looked like it was going to be okay for a split second there, but right at the end, just a little bit too much momentum. But see, that was he did the right thing there by just, his timing was slightly off. So Kanta Yanaguida, 17 years old, the youngest guy here today. Not a very high-end build on this car. It's a red top SR20 engine in there, so not quite as high spec as a lot of the other cars out there, but he's still only 17 years old, so it's good to see someone that young out here. So another zero there. Wow. Yeah, score sheet so looks like a chain there with all these little rings falling down. It's like 64 with zeros below it. Mm-hmm. We have our Suzuka Twin, staff here. Another zero there. So if you are wondering, no, this is not the Suzuka circuit. That is about half an hour away from here. This is Suzuka Twin Circuit. Of course, Suzuka, it is a city, Suzuka City, which is located here in Mie Prefecture. We're about 45 minutes, an hour away from Nagoya, down here in Kansai, Western Japan. So this particular layout they're using for this round of Formula Drift Japan, quite often used as a drift course. There's, as it says, Suzuka Twin. There are two circuits here. The one behind us is generally used for grip driving, and the one in front of us is used for drift driving.
And also well known for motorcycles as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a lot of course, so they can link up the two tracks and use them as motorcycle racing tracks as well. Okay, next driver now, Toshiharu Kazama. So if you've ever heard of Kazama Auto, that's him. That's Mr. Kazama. Several years ago, sort of retiring from drifting, according to him, but can't keep a good drifter down. He's back here in his S15 Sylvia. Doing fairly average in practice, from what I recall, but we'll see if he can pull something off here. Start the starter there, just a little bit of a trip, so here we go. First run here from Toshiharu Kazama. Team Kazama with Power Vehicles, of course, teamed up with Andrew Gray. So conservative entry, don't spin.
You want to start taking bets? You want?
Well, when this is going to break? Well, I would have bet like maybe 3 cars ago.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look. So that was Yanaguda. Actually, I've missed a zero. I've got to write one more. Here we go. I reckon at least by Shinji Minowa. I think Shinji will not spin. At least if the two guys before him don't.
Yeah, I think we're getting into an area of the drivers list that looks like
zero.
Yeah, it looks like there will be some guys that will understand that just getting around the course at this point is probably the most optimum thing to do.
I'm sort of wondering what the spot. I mean, wow, it must be really tricky out there right now. I mean, from where we're sitting, we can see a few what look like dry spots, but they might not be. Sort of bits of the course which are drying up slightly. Here we go. Next driver now, Shinichiro Saito. Car Guy Racing, S15 Sylvia. Here we go.
I don't know.
Carrying lots of speed, so a bit shallow there. Okay, actually, you might be okay.
Yeah.
You might be okay. All he has to do is just make it round. Just make it round. Just make it round, and you'll be in a higher bracket. There you go. Don't. Oh, come on.
Oh boy. I'm not laughing at Saito. I'm looking at the judges.
Yeah, me too. That's exactly. I was just looking over to the judges, and they're just making that look.
Yeah.
Really?
Here's the approach here from Saito. You can see it looked like he was going a little bit too fast, but now that we're able to kind of judge the speed of the cars, we're getting a better idea of what it's going to take to get through outer zone 2. Now, as he comes back here and tries to transition, he drives straight for a pretty extended period of time. It has a little bit of opposite drift there, so I have to imagine that this is going to be a incomplete. Yes, I'm getting the nod.
0.
Height.
Well, I'm well, yeah. Drifting, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I mean, on the 2 driftings merit, it doesn't get cancelled because of weather, does it?
Yep.
It's all weather. And, these guys, to their benefit too. I don't know, I guess it's good to say from this point of view when you're not actually involved with them, but they are trying as hard as they can. Like, it's not like nobody so far has really taken a line where they've just pussyfooted their way around. They've all at least...
Yeah, kind of gone for it.
Gone for it. So to their merit, literally not one person so far has not tried 100% to get a good shot. Okay, here we go. Next driver, Yoshichika Tamagawa, Supra 2JZ powered car. So this is sort of what I'm talking about. So take it easy. There you go. Just keep it in the torque range.
Made it through the 1 danger zone.
Now watch here. Here we go. Watch the switchback.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hold
there we
it.
go.
Hold it.
And
hold it.
there you go. Nice round of applause vigorous round of applause from the judges up here.
Well, let's take a look at this approach here from Tamagawa. You can see he definitely was doing his best to keep the car in control. Big e-brake pull here, just trying to keep angle in the car. Gets back on the throttle right here inside of outer zone number 2. Trying to keep the vehicle high revs here without spinning it out. And then wrapping around this second inside clip through the finish line. He is able to hold it there and will get himself a score.
Good for him. It's good to see. Wow, these 0. I've never seen that ever. That many non-complete runs in a row.
Me either.
Yeah. Just bringing out the next group of drivers out on the track there. So our next driver will be the other half of the Minoa family that's here, Shinji Minoa. Shinji driving the Fairlady twin turbo V6 engine in that car. I wouldn't really wouldn't want to be a mechanic on that car. It looks like an absolute pain to work on. But he was doing quite well in practice yesterday and also practice this morning. Really short wheelbase car with a lot of angle. It has some of the biggest angle I've seen on any of the cars here this weekend. Of course, Shinji Minoa, boss of the Heyman Workshop, well known for producing knuckle kits, angle kits for various kinds of cars. Obviously, he's got some sort of special ones on this Fairlady just for him. Okay, so apparently Shinji, some sort of mechanical issues there. I believe we'll be moving on. So he's backing up off the start line there. We're going to be bringing out our next driver.
I said, well, what about the score? He said, trouble. So I imagine it's getting logged in an analog fashion, and we'll have all these scores. I'm not sure if they're going to pop it up on the screen for Tamagawa.
Yeah, so our apologies for that. It was a hell of a rainstorm we had right before we started here. Because you joined us when it was just okay. Literally 10 minutes before we started the broadcast, it looked like there was paparazzi in front of us, right? There was a huge flash of lightning, followed by thunder after that. So we have a score there. Finally have a score on the board, a 58 for Tamagawa. So that puts him in second place so far. Even though he's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's 12th out, and he's in second place because everyone else had a 0. Okay, now here we go. So we have our first run here from Shinji Minowa. Really early entry, all that nice straight along the wall, all the way out to outer clip 1. Outer zone, in clip. Yeah, I said it before, didn't I? I said it before. I knew that Shinji would do a good run. Here we go, in clip, nice. Keeps it within distance of the marker there across the finish line. We're starting to see a bit of smoke there too. So the course rapidly drying up here.
Yeah, I was definitely expecting Minowa to be one of those guys that comes very close to getting a score, and he showed that he did just that. You can see he's really threading the needle here into outer zone number 2. Good bit of driving there. Got his timing just right. Even stays tight on that first inside clip. And from here on out, it's basically just unwinding the car, going back and forth through the finish line there. And he will most likely be your new number 1 qualifier, the 3rd score of the day.
I think it's fairly safe to say that he's going to get the best score so far. It was a great run, a very confident-looking run there from Minowa. Of course, Minowa drifting for a long time. I wouldn't even want to guess how long he's been drifting for, but quite a long time. Very experienced driver. Shinji, they're returning to the pit, so he did have some sort of trouble there. He was able to complete that run. It's the V6 engine on that fair lady. A little bit hard to tell if it's if there is a problem with it, because it even when it is running well, it does sound a little bit how do you say it? The engine can sound a bit rough even when it's running right. So we'll see if he'll make it out for his second run. So there we go, score 71 for Shinji Minowa, best score of the day so far. So Shinji Minowa scoring a 71 in his first run. That puts him in first place so far here today. There we go. Done.
Oh, you were off by 1.
I was off by 1. Let me correct that. 70. Wait, does that add up? Yep, that's okay. No?
They said the judges' score is right. It was a 71.
I was 71.
They,
okay.
They did their math wrong.
Okay. Just 71 there. Okay, next driver now. Tetsuya Iha. You may remember him from last year's season. He's back this year with the GR Crown. In this car, the Toyota Crown. As you can see, big, heavy, menacing-looking four-door sedan by Toyota. Now Tetsuya Iha taking it fairly easy through here. Just nice and easy on the throttle. And so straightening up through the second half of the course.
Well, I had a hunch that Iha was going to put a score down here, but we've had a few drivers had some trouble from inside clip 1 to outer or inside clip number 2. He gets through this section of the course pretty decently. He doesn't really fill that second outer zone or hit that inside clip, but he's making it through the course nonetheless. He would have received a score. And then right here, as he transitions back around the second inside clip, he loses his forward momentum in terms of drifting and has to shut the car down. So unfortunately, that will be an incomplete and a 0.
This is the sort of time it shows that having a spotter in your ear makes it is very important to these kind of events, especially when you have these kinds of conditions. I know if I was a spotter, I'd be telling all the drivers to a bit more right boot around the third clipping point, the second inner clip. We did see that before when Shinji did his run. We saw smoke start to come out. It was the first smoke we've seen since it rained earlier today. If you sort of look at all the runs so far, it should give you a fairly good picture of how you should tackle this course at the moment. There goes 0 for Tetsuya Iha. So that car, he's in the Toyota Crown. Similar in concept to the, I guess, the Crown Victoria in the United States. It's a big sedan. It's also used as a police car. So it's the spiritual cousin of the Crown Vic. There you go, next driver now. apparently James should not be lining up right now. So there we go. I think James got mixed up a little bit. He still has to wait a fair while until he gets to do his run. Okay, so here we go. So this is going to be our next driver here now. Nakamura, Tomohiro Nakamura. Personally, I've got to say this is my favorite car here. S14 Silvia, 180SX front on it. I just think it looks great. Okay, here we go with his first run. Nakamura redlining it down the straight. Yeah, fairly good run here so far. Out towards the wall. Fairly long way away from the first and second outer clips. Keep it out there, keep it out there. He's got to keep the angle on. Keep the angle out. And all of a sudden, look how dry it is right there. Black marks. So that second inner clip is basically dry now.
Yeah, so Nakamura was able to kind of really anticipate the speed coming down into initiation here. He was coming down with quite a bit of speed, but he's able to get out to that first outer zone. Pretty decent job on the second outer zone there, all things considered. And with the track being so varied, was able to make an adjustment after that little mistake right there, get back on the throttle, and then right here you see the smoke starting to come up. So that section there is the driest part of the course, and each of these drivers and their spotters should be able to notice what's going on here and say, oh, we almost saw a driver go off. Say, right at outer zone number 2, you've got a little bit of still standing water. It's slick over there. The transition from inside clip 1 to inside clip 2, still a little bit slick, but towards the finish line, very dry or getting there, and also starting to get pretty dry here coming up to initiation.
There's a few sort of dry spots here and there. Of course, the front straight, dead flat. It's sort of fairly obvious from this angle. You can see there's drainage sort of slits cut into it. But the second inner clip is got a fairly big bank on it, which is probably why it's dried up so quickly. It's a very varied course here. So a score there of 70. Tomohiro Nakamura. It's going to put him into second place so far. And the third complete run of the day here today. So the track rapidly drying out, but at the same time, the level of drivers incrementally going up and up and up. So actually it was a score there, 72, correction? 72 there. That puts him into first place so far. So the driver you just saw there, Tomohiro Nakamura, first place so far. Okay, next driver, Hirashima from Garage D Friends, S15 Silvia. Here we go. And a big straight in there towards the end of the second outer zone. You saw his front wheels straighten up there. You see they're sort of almost understeering towards the finish line too. This is a very difficult track here today.
I haven't seen anything quite like this. More zeros than scores at this point. And I have to admit, I am getting a little bit nervous because I want to see a full 32 bracket. We've got 35 cars, and we've only got 1, 2, 3 scores.
Of course, the
4 scores.
So the rules, to the people who don't know at home, the rules for zeros is what?
If you have a double zero, it doesn't mean that you are somehow allowed into the bracket because of ranking or something along those lines. You actually have to have a score and to make it to the top 32, so at least in FD USA rules.
So there you go. If you get there a 0 there for Hirashima, of course, straightening up towards the end of outer zone number 2. So all these zeros you've seen so far,
this will be a score.
They only have one more chance.
Will be a score.
Shinozaki should be okay. This guy here, Yoshinori Shinozaki, Shino-san, as he's usually called. Also a very old school driver, regular competitor here in Formula Drift Japan. Regularly performing fairly well. Huge speed on the entry.
See,
coming into contact with the wall. Shouldn't have said anything. We gave him the old Murray Walker kiss of death there. Very aggressive on his entry. can see little bits of brake light reflector falling out there as he completes the rest of the track. So very fast, aggressive entry there for Shinozaki, but maybe just throwing it a little bit too hard. So let's watch the replay here. Now, so you can see that he throws it in really hard, but maybe there's just a bit of moisture next to the wall. But anyway, we're going to go to a commercial break now. So we'll be right back after a short commercial break here at Formula Drift Japan Suzuka Circuit. We'll be right back. There's a 0 there. We'll be right back, hopefully with more scores and some dry conditions here for you. So we see you in a few minutes. We can continue on here with Formula Drift Japan Suzuka Twin Round 1 qualifying. So hopefully that's the last rain we get today. We did have 2 really heavy downpours. So looking at the radar map, it should be clear skies from now on. So look for a score there for Iko Saito, 57, so just barely making it through. And we get the score there, 57, Iko Saito. Yeah, style, of course, his line was all right, but yeah, his style was way off. Just this is what is going to be difficult. Even in these conditions, it was still fairly bad on that last run. So next driver now, Kazumi Takahashi. Very, very nicely presented car. I'm a big fan of this JZX100 Chaser that he's prepared for the 2017 series. Really nice glossy green wrap. It's a little sort of aero garnishes on it. Great looking car, drives it well. Okay, here we go. First run here for Kazumi Takahashi, JZX100. Okay, so reading the course well. He's taking a bit of a safe line. He's missed pretty much every clip so far, but
don't do it.
He's got to get on from this part of the course. He has to drive it as if it's dry because it is. There we go. So at least one score on the board for Kazumi Takahashi here in his JZX100 Chaser. Let's watch the replay.
Well, here he goes through the chicane here. You can see a much more conservative approach than some of the other drivers, even though the course is becoming much less wet. That said, he does have a pretty sizable mistake after outer zone 2 and past inside clip number 1 right here on the transition back around. He's going to come almost straight for a second, puts more angle in the car, gets on the gas. He will receive a score here. It won't be a great one, but with all the zeros on the board, certainly a score will help him get into the top 32.
Yeah, it should be too hard of it. I mean, just looking at the track here from where we are, on the entry, the middle of the course, it's fairly dry, but right out towards the edge of the wall, it still looks a bit wet. So we have a score there for Takahashi, a 54. So not the best score, probably the worst one we've seen so far, but still, it's going to guarantee him a spot if things continue the way they're going. Continuing on here at Suzuka Twin Circuit. Our next driver will be Kazuto Ichiyanagi. We have a score there, 54 for Takahashi. The next driver now, Ichiyanagi. Team Zeke. S13 1VIA. Here we go. Ichiyanagi, his car looks fairly similar to last year, but he's done a fair bit of work on it. Here we go, nice entry right out of zone 1, out of zone 2. It's looking good so far. Now, he has to know that from here on, he has to drive it like it's dry. He's got to get on the accelerator hard, flicks it back, and on the limiter over the finish line. Good run there. Okay, so this is what we want to see. We're getting towards the pointy end of the field, and we're seeing these guys read the course and respond accordingly.
So Ichiyanagi laying down a pretty solid run, all things considered. You can see into initiation, tries to snap it in there, but holds it. Does a pretty good job on outer zone number 2. He comes off a little bit straight there, but He is going to get a score here. You can see just trying to manage different areas of the course that have different levels of dryness. And then right here, as you said, Alexi, pretty much fully dry there. So a big smoke line through the finish line for Ichiyanagi, and he'll have a score for run number 1.
Yeah, I mean, this particular course, it's a fairly good mix. It's got a good entry, especially for tandems. And in the second half of the course, guys who can drive quickly can do it really well. So the second half of the course, guys who show a lot of really good throttle control, and guys who are able to keep the power down and keep the balance of the car on the rear axles, are able to drive their way through the second half of the course very quickly. So we have there a score 70 for Kazuto Ichiyanagi. So good score for him. Puts him in about third place so far. So their score there 70 for Ichiyanagi. Team Zeke 1v up. So with all the potatoes we've seen on the scoreboard so far, it's good to see some scores actually starting to pop up. Okay, next driver now, Sheng Nian. Now, this will be interesting. Nian, the kind of driver who's basically just bets it all on black every run. But taking a little bit of a different strat this time. But his reaction there a little bit late. His wheels straightening up for the second half of the course. Now that was a fairly good strat he took there on the first half of the course. Very good entry, nice line, but unfortunately, let's see what happens after outer zone 1.
Yeah, he does make a pretty sizable mistake, but it was very, very quick, and I think the judges might let it slide here. You can see he takes that approach right there. He basically kind of reinitiates. He straightens out for just a second. But if he had any angle in the front two wheels, I think they will let it slide. I am seeing some scores drop here, but all he really wants at this point is for scores to drop and not receive an incomplete. And it looks like that's going to happen here.
Yeah, that was about as close as you could get to an incomplete as he could possibly see here. Because it wasn't the big long understeer like we've seen from some of the other guys here so far today. Nian in the dark grey JZX 100 Chaser. Also a regular competitor in last year's season as well. But here we go. We are back. Masuda in the Shark JZX 90 out there right now. Wow, this course all the way to the outer edge of the track. Masuda in the JZX 90. Limiter all the way around the inner clips. I think this course is pretty much dry right now. Look at that smoke. If it's the replay. Oh, no. We're about to start the replay here with Toshimitsu Masuda. The sun here right now quite hot. Okay, so here we go, the replay. Masuda, JZX 90.
Definitely a fan favorite here. You can see very aggressive from the onset, but not filling that second zone. You can see right there just off that inside clip by a long margin here, but obviously with the number of zeros that we have, every driver in this first run is just trying to get a score on the board. He will do just that. Right now, our highest score is a 72. So we've got a lot of headroom here to go as we're now more than 3/4 of the way through the field in the first run only. If you're just joining us now, Toshimitsu Masuda just finished his first run.
Yeah, so like Ryan just said there, about 3/4 of the way through the field here on their first run for qualifying. Let's have a score there. Score there 62 for Toshimitsu Masuda. Now the scores here, I should probably explain if you're not a regular watcher of Formula Drift in general, you may not be familiar with how it works. Essentially, we have 3 judges here today. Ryan Lantane, Robbie Nishida, and Andy Yen. They are our style, line, and angle judges. Now, the way it works is you get, for angle, 35 points, line 35, and style 30. Here we go, next driver now. We have Jin Horino, S15 Sylvie, throwing it in a bit too hard up there into the outer zone, the second outer zone. Keeping it off the wall. Now this car here, Jin Horino, you may remember him from last year, driving the R35 GTR engine V8, that's the VR38 powered 180SX. But he had a split from that team, and he's come back this year with his own build, this very nice looking S15. However, it's fairly close to stock, the entire car. He said he only managed to get it done just in time for this event. If you have a look at the car on the inside, the interior is still pretty much all there. And his brake upgrade includes a set of upgraded pads, and that's it. So Jin Horino just hoping to at least shake the car down here at this event in time to have it ready for Ebisu Circuit. He said that's the one he really wants to perform well at. So Jin Horino there, a 0 for him. So if you're just joining us, and we've had some troubles with the live stream up until now. I apologise for that, but we're back now. We're here now. Koichi Yamashita, the Weld JZX100 Mark II. He's got to keep that angle going. The course is probably much drier than he's anticipating right now. Flicks it back, second inner clip, looking good here. Here we go. And across the finish line. Good run there for him. So you can really see the guys who can pick up the course conditions quickly are the ones who manage to complete the course without straightening up. And I guess not coincidentally, or coincidentally, those are also the guys who are some of the more experienced long-term drivers, such as Koichi Yamashita. Here we go with the replay for him.
So you can see Yamashita here, his first attempt, getting pretty deep into that second outer zone. Nice job there, a little bit long on that first inside clip, and then swinging back around here on that second. Smoking it all the way through the finish line, so a good start for him.
Yeah, we see some of the previous drivers here looking a little bit sketchy as they get through the second half of the course, as the surface dries up. We have a score there, 63 for Koichi Yamashita. So as I was saying before, you can see there the scores there, 21-20, all three 21. Those scores are out of, line and angle are out of 35, and then style is out of 30. And within style you have initiation, fluidity, and commitment as the three parts of style judging. So initiation being, of course, the entry, fluidity, how smoothly you drive the course, and also commitment, how hard you throw it in. Here we go. You might not know this, but this is indeed Mad Mike. All the way to the edge of the track, out of zone. 1 and 2, inner clip, 1, inner clip, 2. Great run there for Mad Mike. Now, you may be wondering, hang on, that's not the Humble. Why is he in that car? Well, it's a loaner, that particular car. But, being Mad Mike and having, I guess, the pull he does, managed to find a 3-rotor FD right at the last minute, and he's out here today in the series. Let's watch the replay.
Yeah, it was definitely last minute. He has the Humble here. It was running. He was out on track a number of different times, but just wasn't able to get it operating optimally. And was able to pull this together, like you said, last minute, and goes down and lays down a pretty solid run on run number 1, all things considered here. Not a lot of time in the car. Spent very little time, kind of shaking it down. But certainly right there lays down probably the best run we've seen so far this afternoon.
Yeah, so this particular car belongs to a guy called Fujinaka, who is, I believe he's from Hiroshima, which is a fair way from here, but they're still close enough to truck the car in the last minute. And this car also had 3-rotor. They had to do some mods right at the last minute to get it to comply with Formula Drift regulations, such as move the oil cooler and a few little things like that. But of course, managing to do it all in time. And a score 81, the best score we've seen so far here today. Mad Mike Woodette, 81. All the way to the edge of the track in outer zone 1 and 2. Great run for him there. So yeah, the Humble, built by TCP Magic. An issue with the intake manifold being slightly twisted and causing air fuel issues. We'll talk about that again later, but here we go. Next driver, Daichi Oshido. Now Oshido, yesterday in practice in the dry, was really throwing it down hard. And once again, doing that exact same sort of thing again. Very quickly shifting down. They're almost missing a shift, but no problem. Now, I think the difference between his run and the run Mike just did there was speed. He came in with holding a lot of speed really late, deep into the corner.
Well, certainly the higher-ranked drivers receiving the better track conditions here. We're starting to see a lot of smoke come up and speed from drivers down from the start line into the initiation. So we are seeing the speeds pick up quite a bit here, and Mad Mike laying down that 81. Oshiro, a good run of his own here. Let's take a look at it. You can see good speed, right to angle, pushing it a little bit. Like to see him snap it a little bit harder, but obviously just trying to get a score at this point. He goes a little bit long on that first inside clip.
Yeah.
Good throttle control here, wrapping it back around and crossing the finish line here for Oshiro for run number 1 here, trying to take 35 drivers and whittle them down to 32, so we'll have 3 open spots, but we've got quite a few zeros on the board, especially towards the latter top of the driver lineup.
There's quite a long chain there. There's about 8 cars in a row with a 0 we saw in the first part of qualifying. So score there 74 for Daichi Oshido. In his JZX 100 Mark II. You'd probably remember that car from last season. It's fairly similar in spec. Okay, next driver now. Seimi Tanaka. Last year's ranked number 7 in the championship. Back again in his S15 Silvia. Of course, Seimi, a local driver. Wow, look at that. Deep into the course. With absolutely no fear out towards the edge of the track. Huge angle, second in the clip. Now that is a confident run there for Seimi Tanaka. I want to watch this replay. Watch how hard he throws it into the first corner, along the wall, and into the first and second outer zone.
Yeah, no question this will be our number 1 qualifying run here. Seimi Tanaka, known for doing these big, huge initiations. That rate to angle was tremendous. You can see the timing into outer zone number 2, perfect. Right on that inside clip, a big difference there between him and Oshiro. Next to Mad Mike on that line, it was definitely Tanaka getting the better of the 2, plus the initiation, the outer zone number 1. Certainly the best run that we've seen all day long, and that should put him in our number 1 spot.
See, that's the sort of thing we're talking about in the style judging segment. Initiation, also commitment. Basically, he gave himself no margin of error on that particular run, throwing it in really hard and managing to hold it all the way around, and even managing to pick up a bit of speed, it looked like, through the second half of the course. So really, really good run there for Seimi Tanaka. Last year's 7th place in the championship standings. So Seimi Tanaka, local driver, he's from Kansai, so score there 88. So that is indeed the highest score we've seen so far here today. That puts him in the first place, getting towards the end of the first run in qualifying. Of course, all these drivers do get 2 runs. The runs are not done back-to-back. One driver will do their run, and then the entire field that does their run, and then they'll run again. So they do have time to head back to the pits if the car needs some sort of work on it. We don't have a hot pit here today because it is quite easy to get the cars back into the pits at this particular course layout. So that's what we've decided to do. Of course, it makes it a bit easier for the guys to maintain their cars if they have their entire pit. Okay, next driver now, Kazuya Iizuka. Last year driving a JZX 100 Mark II. Back this year in a 2JZ powered S15 Silvia. It's a fairly decent line so far if it was about 2 or 3 meters further out. Of course, remember, we did have quite a few zeros so far, so it really makes sense. It might not be the most exciting thing to watch, of course, but it just makes sense to put a run down right now and get a score on the board so you at least know where you stand going into the second run.
So here's the Suzuka on run number 1. Now, obviously, as these conditions are changing, the judges are upgrading their curve. Now that the conditions are getting better, you're going to start to see the course conditions be consistent with the way that they would have been judging it yesterday when it was dry. So Suzuka will get a score on the board, but I don't think it's going to be a tremendous one as we compare his run to, say, Mad Mike's and Oshiro and obviously Seimi Tanaka. My guess is probably somewhere in the 70 range.
Yeah, I think you're right. Of course, the judges here, taking into account the fact that the course conditions are changing, of course, there's not much you can do about a 0 if you do spin out like a lot of the guys this morning did. A 0 is a 0. You can't just say, well, because it was wet. I mean, there were a few guys who made it around, even in the semi-wet conditions, so that's not an excuse. But for the guys who did make it around, yeah, so we see some guys who, in the wet conditions, may have not got as good a run as Suzuka's 62, but of course with the conditions here, he should have been able to do better than that. Okay, moving into the top end of the field here, or at least if we're talking about last year's championship standings. Next driver now, Kazuya Taguchi, up garage sponsored S15 Silvia SR20 powered, big angle into the outer zone. Nice commitment there. Just a little slap of the inner clipping point 1. Just barely misses outer clipping, near clipping zone 2. That was a solid run there for Kazuya Taguchi. Nice commitment to the entry there. Huge angle, almost a back entry.
Very similar approach from Seimi Tanaka. You can see a ton of speed coming down, full throttle. This is where you really see the commitment of this course, right up against that first outer zone, deep into the second outer zone, then back on the throttle here, nice and tight, just glancing that first inside clip. Now, does get a little bit off course there, but a very minor mistake considering all the high points of this run here for Taguchi.
Yeah, overall pretty good run there. Enjoyable to watch. Now this particular car, SR20 powered, so they still do have SR20s in the pointy end of the field here in Japan. Admittedly, it is a complete Tomei built engine, so that sort of puts it towards the higher end of SR20s. But still, SR20 nevertheless. So score there 89. That's the highest score, so that puts Taguchi in first place in qualifying, getting towards the end of the first run for all these drivers. So the average scores crawling up and up slowly as we get towards the top 5 drivers from last year. Okay, next driver now. Hayashi driving the Toyota 8, sorry, is it a BRZ or a Toyota? It's a Toyota 86. Nice smooth run there for Hayashi. Was last year driving a different car, this year in this particular one. The Toyota 86. Not powered by a 2JZ, but actually with the Boxer engine.
You can see here, good aggressive move towards that first outer zone. Doesn't reach all the way out there or outer zone 2, but nonetheless, it's a pretty solid start for him on run number 1. Now this last little flick here on that second and final inside clip, so Hayashi's got one in the books.
Yeah, it should be a fairly good score to put into that particular book too. Kazuki Hayashi. I did say it did have the Subaru Boxer in there. It is actually a Tomei engine, so a bit higher end as far as the Boxer engines go, but still a Boxer nevertheless. So it's made it to a sequential gearbox as well. So this particular car, also a loaner, used in another series here in Japan. But today here in Formula Drift, Hayashi getting a score of 74. Okay, next driver now. Should be fairly familiar to long-time viewers of Formula Drift over in the United States. We have Masashi Yakoi, Team D-Max here in his S15 Silvia. second place in last year's championship. Let's see why. And I think he's just answered that question. Deep, deep, deep into the outer zone. It's a little slap to the inner clip. Another little bit more of a heavier, bit more of a open-handed slap to the second inner clip. And over the finish line, leaving a trail of smoke behind him. Masashi Yokoi, great run from him there. Probably one of the best we've seen so far today.
Yeah, my only minor critique would just be pretty long e-brake pull from the first outer zone, but he definitely needed that to not hit the wall in the second outer zone. You can see he grabs on the e-brake up quite a bit there, but just gets the timing absolutely perfect there in outer zone number 2. Good throttle control here as he wraps around that last inside clip, and a great start for Yokoi.
So we can see there why Yokoi managed to get second place in last year's championship. Speaking of championship, our next driver is last year's champion, Andrew Gray. Hailing originally from Scotland, but living in Japan right now. Right up near everyone's favourite Ebisu circuit, actually basically on Ebisu circuit, where he runs his power vehicles business. So score there, 94, Masashi Yokoi. So number 1 so far in qualifying. So nobody tell Andy, he doesn't need to know. Just let him go out there by himself and get a good score down. So Andrew Gray, new build this car. JSX 100 Chaser. Looks fairly similar to last year's build, but it is a new build. Here we go, last year's champion, Andrew Gray, putting down his first qualifying run. Outer clip, falling a little bit short, a little bit damp there on his first run. Not quite as aggressive as the run we just saw there from Yokoi. Second half, not too bad. Baking up those tyres around the second half of the course, second inner clip over the finish line, but we've seen plenty of people do that. But let's watch this replay, watch his entry, compare that to the runs we've seen previously.
Yeah, his rate to angle is a little bit slower than Tanaka's and Yokoi, but you can see the line that he draws is pretty stellar there. He gets pretty deep into that second outer zone. He wasn't right up against the wall in the first outer zone, but you know, Andrew knows what he's doing here. He obviously is going to try to get himself in one of the top positions and hoping that he'll be able to either have a bye in the round of 32 or go up against a competitor that is lesser skilled than some of the other drivers. And so for him, the strategy looks like it worked out. He got himself, there's Yokoi with his 94, but we'll wait for Andrew Gray's score.
So hopefully it didn't get you excited just then thinking that was Andy's score. So that was Yokoi's 94. There's number 1. So 89 there for Andrew Gray. So at least getting a decent score. I mean, anywhere outside the top 5 or 6 guys, and that would have been the top score. So still a decent run there for Andrew Gray. So that completes the first qualifying run for all the drivers here at Formula Drift Japan. Round 1 here at Suzuka Twin Circuit. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. It'll be a couple of minutes only. We'll be back very shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back to Suzuka Circuit here in Japan, Formula Drift. Japan, round 1. We are out here, we are qualifying. And all of a sudden, the weather has changed. I'm here with Ryan Sage, my name is Alexi Smith. This morning it was raining and cold, and there was thunder and lightning and squalls and wind. And right now, it's sunny and hot and dry. Not exactly the sort of weather you want for a drifting event as far as the drivers are concerned, but it's been fairly entertaining so far here today. For the spectators, we are doing qualifying. And what we've done so far this morning was the first qualifying run for the entire field of drivers. What we're about to begin now is the second run for all of the drivers. Now, if you weren't watching before, what you wouldn't know is that apart from this guy, Imameda, pretty much the first 10 drivers after him all got zeros. So they all are in a really tight spot. So we go second run now from Imameda, S14 Sylvia. His first run was done in completely wet conditions. His second run in completely dry conditions. And he's doing a pretty good job of it right now. Imameda. S14 Sylvia putting down a fairly good second run. His first run was a 64. Let's watch this replay.
Yeah, I got to tell you, pretty impressed here with Imameda. You can see here, really aggressive on this initiation. You can see snaps it right there, quick rate to angle. Doesn't get all the way out to the first outer zone, but the second outer zone he fills pretty completely. Right there, second hash mark on that first inside clip. And then on the second inside clip, he's right on the third hash mark. So not too bad. And already has that first score.
Yeah, so he was able to go into that run knowing that he already had a score down. Score of 64. Now, not the best score, but still fairly decent compared to the drivers we saw come directly after him. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So from now on, all the drivers need to put a score down. Otherwise, they won't make it. So there we go. Score there, 72 for Imameda. So an improvement on his first run there of 64. All the way up to 72. So great job for him there. Okay, so here we go. This is our chain breaker, I'm going to call it. All these zeros look like a big chain running down the score sheet here. Our first driver, Masao Minoa, the wife of Shinji Minoa. It'd be pretty cool to be married to a girl who drifts like this. So here she goes in her JZX100. Now she was saying yesterday, I was having a bit of a chat to her, fairly nervous. And as I was saying before, a lot of the guys will say they're nervous even though they're not when you talk to a Japanese driver. But I think in her case, as we can see there, definitely a case of nerves. So on the entry there, coming back in the opposite direction, and then understeering around the second corner. So unfortunately there for Masao Minoa on her first entry into Formula Drift Japan, and also the first female driver in Formula Drift Japan. Double zeros for her, so she's going to get knocked out.
Yeah, unfortunately for her, just not able to complete a run here. It obviously didn't help it with the conditions in run number one, not playing into her favor, and run number two, just obviously dealing with different conditions the second time around. So she's got double zeros. She will be out of the competition, and we'll move on to our next driver.
It's a real shame there. Would like to see her. She could have potentially battled her husband, which would have been good to see. Okay, next driver now, Wataru Masuyama, 2JZ powered S15. Young guy, 24 years old. Very shallow line there. But remember, he's sitting on a zero. He needs to complete this run and get a score if he's going to make it through. So he does, lucky for him. He managed to make it through, but yeah, that right in front of the judging stand, the two outer zones, very shallow.
Well, Masuyama was very aggressive in his run leading up to this, his first run. Second run, plays it a little bit more conservatively, knows he just needs to get a score on the board, had that zero in run number one. You can see way off that first inside clip. Now bringing it back around to this second inside clip. A little bit better job there through the finish line, and he'll have himself a score.
So at least he will have a score, and he will guarantee himself a spot in the top 32 competition in tomorrow's main competition. He's just returning to the pits there, probably quite happy with himself. Not the coolest looking run, but still, score there, 60 for Wataru Masuyama. 24 years old, the second youngest guy out here today, not the youngest one, but a score there, 60. Good enough, close enough, good enough. He's going to make it through to the top 32. The next driver, Hubert Lee, all the way from Hong Kong. As I was saying before, Hubert using this car in events in China, but this year bringing it over to Japan to use in Formula Drift with that sort of battleship dazzle camouflage on it. Fairly late entry there, but his line, not too bad on the first half of the course, a little bit inconsistent with his line, to be honest. Sort of a middle line all the way around. Again, he's one of these zero drivers. So all he has to do really is just get a score. That's all he really wants to do. Let's watch the replay.
So taking a look again here at Hubert, you can see that straight line approach, late initiation as you said, and then right here the line shoots him way past that first inside clip. He will get a score on the board, but unfortunately will be a lower score. But nonetheless, he will be in the top 32 so far.
Yeah, Hubert had a bit of a chat to him yesterday. Very impressed with the overall level of skill and driving here in the Japanese series. I think it's his first time actually driving in a competition here in Japan. He has been to Japan a few times before. Getting some training from Team Orange up at Ebisu Circuit. But this being his first time in competition, so driving in Formula Drift Japan. And getting a score, hopefully, because he did complete the run. So there, 62. So another zero driver getting a score there, 62. Okay, here comes our next zero driver in the zero chain. Hubert Lee's compatriot James Tang here today driving the BMW 1 Series. Did I say that right? Is it 1 Series or Series 1? No, 1 Series.
Yeah,
right?
1 Series.
Okay, I'm sorry, I know nothing. I'm not a BMW person. My apologies to the Deutsche fans out there. But anyway, the engine is a 2JZ, so that's good enough for me. So there we go. Great looking car, by the way, but getting a zero in his first run. He has to put a score down. He can't straighten up. He's got to get all the way out. Okay, good, all the way out. Clipping zone 2. Inner clip 1, not that great, but all right, middle line, we'll take it. Second inner clip, not too bad. And over the finish line. Okay, that's going to give him a score.
Fascinating approach here from James. You can see he basically is burning up the tires all the way through the chicane and into his initiation. He's going to take this really wide line. He's already drifting here. You can see right there, he shoots out real wide and then really on the throttle here all the way through. Kind of cuts up the course a little bit into sections. The judges really like to see the fluidity all the way through. And you can see right there going wide on that first inside clip. A little bit better job on that second inside clip. He will get a score on the board, but certainly he'll have some things to consider for tomorrow's head-to-head competition.
Yeah, it's probably going to be something like a 60-something, I'd say. But James Tang completing his run there, guaranteeing himself a spot into the top 32 in tomorrow's competition. And his score is confirmation, a 64.
Oh, that's my guess. That was my guess.
Oh, was your guess?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say about a 62. But, no?
Oh,
wow, okay. Way off. 50. Woo, wow. Okay, James Tang, the score of 50. I think, to be honest, I think that entry is the exact opposite of what the judges want to see. That sort of long swing, he was kind of burning up the tires there. But, I guess that is a technique where if you keep the tires spinning the whole time, you will manage to keep the car drifting. You're not going to get that swing back like Masao Minoa got. The next driver now, Junji Yamamoto, FD 13B. So not a bad run so far. Entry fairly mild. Sort of a clean run, nothing really too good or bad about it. Of course, not going to get a great, nothing in there to suggest an 80 or a 90. But he was, again, one of the zero drivers from this morning. Junji Yamamoto, FDRX7, let's watch the replay.
Well, definitely a pretty decent level of commitment here from the initiation side. He doesn't get his timing exactly right, and he's a little bit short on that second outer zone and goes a little bit long because of that on that first inside clip. Much better job on that second inside clip, though. That is probably one of the easiest areas of the course to get through. He will get a score on the board, and now he'll go back and watch the rest of his competitors to see where he lands in the top 32.
Yeah, like you just mentioned there, the outer clipping, the inner clip 2 just before the finish line. It is quite easy to take that corner at high speed, so if you are able to gather up enough speed before that corner to get into that corner with holding a good amount of entry speed, it's easy to hold it all the way around. So score there. Not a bad score, 77 for Junji Yamamoto in the 13B FD RX7. The double Dorito. Can I say that? They're not sponsored. Internet. It's an internet joke. Okay. Next driver now. Hayato Miyoshi. RB26. Big throw up against the wall. That's showing a lot of commitment. Nice out of zone 1, out of zone 2. Rapidly steering into the corner, trying to avoid an understeer. You can see there from this high perspective. If nothing else, that was a lot of commitment into that first corner there. You see, he flicked it sort of one way and then the other, but that could have gone quite bad if he'd have messed that up. So really ballsy driving there.
Yeah, absolutely. Good commitment here. You can see pointed right towards the wall as he initiates and then takes that car, puts it quick to angle. Big car like that too, very impressive. He doesn't get completely deep or drive a very linear, or he drives a little bit of a linear line coming out of outer zone 2. You like to see him arc it a little bit and be a little bit smoother into inside clip number 1. But overall, good commitment on initiation and a solid second run for him because he was also sitting on a 0 after run number 1.
So, Hayato Miyoshi, of course. Before him on the lineup should have been Chris DeJager, the Australian driver out here in the JSX90. So score there 69 for Hayato Miyoshi. Chris, about the worst luck you can get. His custom tail shaft yesterday in practice pretzeling itself under the car. He managed to find a workshop nearby here, a workshop that could weld his drive shaft up and sort of repair it somehow. But again this morning, same thing. His drive shaft breaking, so Chris DeJager not in today's competition. Okay, next driver now, Kanta Yanaguda, 17 years old, this S13 Sylvia. So keeping that SR20 right on the limiter the entire way around. Pinned. That was I mean, commitment, full marks for commitment there. Let's watch the replay here. Yanaguda.
A very, very promising young driver here. You can see he does not lack the commitment. You can see he's a little bit off the line there, but I love the way that he snapped that car right to angle on initiation. He certainly has got a lot of room to grow here, but very impressive at this young age, and obviously he will have a score on the board and move into the top 32.
Geez, 17. I was happy to do like a handbrake turn in my dad's Mazda 323 when I was 17. Great driving there. Very distinctive car. It's got that. It might not show up too much on the screen, but it's a very fluorescent shade of green on his car there. So score there 72. So going up from a 0 to a 72 for him there. So we're almost getting to the end of the chain of 0 drivers. It's looking good so far. We've only got 2 more to go. I don't want to give them don't want to curse them, but they have to get at least a score to make it through. Of course, the Formula Drift rules, 00 disqualifies you from competition. Okay, next driver now, Shacho Kazama, the boss of Kazama Auto in his S15 Silvia. He got a 0 as well. He has to make it through this course. So he's fairly gingerly making his way through, not revving it too high. Okay, this looks okay so far. All right, then over the finish line. Oh, okay. Thankfully, I just heard a bit of round of applause from the spotter area just down there. Well, Shacho Kazama.
After the first few runs where it seemed like everything and anything could have gone wrong and did, the second run, we're starting to pull it together a little bit here. We're getting some decent runs. Kazama here is going to make do with a pretty decent score after that 0 in run number 1. We're starting to see only 1 0 right now that has, or one driver that has double zeros. So far, so good in filling that 32 bracket. And Kazama is our next guy that's going to be in the top 32 as we wait for a score from the judges.
Okay, so yeah, not the most exciting run there, unfortunately, from Kazama, but also this car, also a brand new build. I'm sure he doesn't want to be in it that early in the season. Let's try that again.
That was a quick oops. I messed up. The linkage. He's getting trans. A lot of trans this event for him. That's okay.
Let's get the score back up there for Kazama. 58. So, but it's not a 0, so that's okay. It's going to put him down the bottom end of the top 32 bracket, but still, it will put him there.
Yeah, right now it's all about positioning. Where are you going to fit into the top 32? Who's going to go up 1 to 32, 2 to 31? These are all important things that people are going to be taking a look at as the bracket starts to fill in here.
The next driver now will be Shinichiro Saito, Car Guy Racing. This car, this is S15, driving a 180SX last season in this S15 now. Aggressive entry towards the wall. Losing it a little bit towards the outer zone, number 2. And remember, he has to get anything other than a 0. And it looks like he'll manage to do that. I'm being a bit mean to these guys, sort of, oh, you did the run, well done. I mean, considering the conditions this morning, I mean, even the best drivers would have lost at least a tiny bit of confidence going into today's qualifying.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Saito here, obviously, with that 0 in run number 1, was just looking to put together something here on run number 2. You have to imagine the nerves are high. There's a great opportunity to make it into tomorrow's competition, and all you really need to do is get a score at this point. But we are seeing a much better job. There's only 2 drivers in the field right now that are definitely not in competition tomorrow. And you mentioned Chris and also Minoa. The wife Minoa, first name is Masayo. Masayo, yeah. So only 2. So right now that means that there's still 3 potential positions or drivers that could be knocked out with 35, and we will find out how that will all happen as we move along here. We're about a quarter of the way through the drivers list in the second run here, trying to fill the top 32.
So there we go, score there, 56. On Shinichiro Saito's second run. Speaking of Car Guy Racing, here is his teammate, Tamagawa. Yoshichika Tamagawa, JZA80 Supra. Here we go. 2JZ, of course, Supra. Couldn't have any other engine in this car. Nice flick towards the wall. Falling a little bit short in the outer zone, but still, wow, aggressive run here compared to the 0 we saw in his first run. This is an aggressive run here for Tamagawa, throwing that big Supra up against the wall. Let's watch this replay.
Well, nice job here on commitment. We're starting to see a bit more progression here. You can see it taking this aggressive approach, pointed right towards that wall. Quick rate to angle there. Doesn't fill that second outer zone, but very impressive on the commitment in outer zone number 1. Goes a bit long there on that inside clip and on that second inside clip there, but overall he'll get a score on the board.
Yeah, of course, this track, it does look like a fairly open sort of circuit type layout, but the way we're using it here at Formula Drift Japan, it's almost like any other circuit where you have walls all the way around the edge of the track. Like, there is very little escape or leeway between getting a good score and getting a 0. Like, for example, if you have to bail out from the entry and sort of take the escape area just there to the middle of the screen, you can see the course, the straight continues along, just right about there, you're not going to get anything other than a 0. So it requires full commitment and extremely good timing. There's very little time to correct any sort of mistakes on this particular course especially. The area in which you have to slow down is quite short. So score there, 80 for Tamagawa. All right, let's wait a minute. Judges just double checking that score we had there for Tamagawa.
Yeah, they're not able to see what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Basically, it's numbers to one guy to the next because of our little rain and electrical storm.
Yeah, we had issues from the rain. Anyway, here we go. Next driver, Shinji Minoa. He showed a lot of skill in the rain this morning. He's showing it again right now. The twin-turbo V6 Fairlady rasping its way around the track, leaving a trail of smoke behind it. Now, Shinji this morning, getting a score of 71. He was basically the third driver up until now to actually put a score on the board, and he's showing why right now.
Well, you can see right here at this initiation, not the quickest rate to angle, but look at the line here. I mean, he really drags it out very close to the wall and deep into that second outer zone. He's got good throttle control coming through this last section of the course here as he hits that inside clip. He's got that 71 from run number 1. I think he's going to better that for run number 2. And he's got himself in a good position here to be qualifying pretty high relative to the other scores right now.
Yeah, so if you're judging along at home, which I suggest you do, it's always good fun. The highest judged sectors of the course is sector 1 and 2, which is basically the wall and the outer zone just in front of the judging stand, where you see them drive along where it's got those yellow lines painted on the road. Those are the 2 highest judged parts of the course. So you have there Shinji Minoa, a score of 83. So Shinji Minoa improving on his first score of 71 in his first run. The next driver now, Tetsuya Iha. He likes his 4-doors. This time he's in a new build for this year, the GS Crown, the Toyota Crown. It's normally powered by Toyota's V6 that they seem to be putting in everything these days, the 2GR. But of course, 2JZ, like almost everything else. Here we go with the entry. It's taking a fairly close line to the wall, so conservative handbrake entry. He's got to get his revs up. It's not wet anymore, all the way to the edge of the track, just dropping a wheel off. This is almost exactly the opposite of what he should be doing this entire run.
Not the prettiest.
Yeah, not the prettiest. I think we can safely say that this time around, Iha. But then again, Iha, first run, 0, so he wants anything other than a 0.
You can see the straight line approach here, not very aggressive. The commitment on the lower side, not really able to fill the zones. He goes way wide here, drops that rear right wheel, and then back on course here. So he will have a score, but it will definitely not be in the upper tier as opposed to what we just saw from Minoa and Tamagawa.
Yeah, I mean, the sorts of runs that you have to do sometimes. I mean, that's the sort of run I'm sure that after the event's all over and done with, depending on his results, he'll be teased for by his friends. For taking such a nice little, safe little handbrake entry. But still, score's a score. You don't want to. I mean, a 0-0 is going to give you a worse ribbing, won't it? So he should be able to get a score here, which will put him through to the top 32 tomorrow. So if you're just joining us now, where have you been? That's a 51 for Tetsuya Iha. So better than his 0 in his first run. So yeah, if you're just joining us now, where have you been? We're here in Suzuka Circuit for round 1 of Formula Drift Japan. Suzuka Twin Circuit. What we're doing right now is we're about 3/4 of the way through final qualifying for tomorrow's top 32 battles. We've gone through wet conditions all the way up until dry now. Here comes our next driver. Nakamura in the S14 Silvia, 180SX front on it. Now he managed to put down a score in his first run. Limiter the entire way around. Now that run, don't really know what to make of it. His first run looked better, I think.
Well, he had a 72 on run number 1 and in somewhat wet, somewhat dry conditions here. Now we're fully back to dry. You can see it's kind of a middle of the road approach. He has a couple little high points, but not a huge amount of impact on initiation or very deep into the second outer zone, but not bad either. So it's going to be, I think, middle of the road here, and we'll see if he betters his 72 or not.
Yeah, so 72 sort of putting somewhere near the middle if the scores keep going the way they are. But really, by now the conditions are quite dry, so there's no reason why these guys shouldn't be able to throw down as hard as they can. But I guess we're getting towards the pointy end of the field, and we did see basically the guys who are in the top 5 or 6 in last year's competition standings were all doing really well in qualifying, getting a high 80s for a few of them. So make sure you stay with us because the runs are only going to get better and better here today at Suzuka Circuit. So if you're wondering what's the schedule for this weekend, well, you're watching it right now. Qualifying, we're about 3/4 of the way through total qualifying. We have half the field to go in their second run. We've only seen one driver get knocked out, Masao Minoa, unfortunately. The rest of them have managed to put down scores. So have a score there, 88 for Nakamura. So improving, actually that was an improvement on his first score. I guess
that was much higher than I expected.
It was much higher than I expected too, but I guess the second half of his run was quite good. The first half wasn't too bad. The next driver now, Hiroshima. S15 Sylvia. This particular car, RB25 powered. It's pretty much the only RB25 powered car here. 6-speed HKS dog box on it.
What happened? Want to put it up again?
Why not? It's a nice even number. The Nakamura, that's the guy we just saw there. S14 Sylvia with the 180SX Super Made Instant Gentleman front bumper on it. I think it's one of the best names for a body kit ever. Instant Gentleman. It's got that sort of Japanese bad English thing going on, but it's simultaneously hilarious. This guy's just coming out. Of course, we do not have a hot pit at this event. All the drivers are able to return to the pits between their two qualifying runs to maintain their cars. And those two drivers just heading out to line up for their qualifying runs. So our next driver, Hiroshima, all the way from Fukuoka, which is the southern island of Japan, southern island of Japan of Kyushu. Garage D Friends, there he is there. Really nice looking car. It's got that real Japanese drift car look to it, with the graphics and the body kit. All right, here we go. Second run for him. So holding a lot of speed, quite deep into the corner. A fair way off the outer clipping zone. A little bit conservative. I believe he got a 0 in his first run, which is why he may be just barely keeping it going over the finish line. Wow, that was a bit of a sketchy run there for him. So once again, safe, straight line handbrake entry for him. Let's watch the replay.
So here is the second attempt for Hiroshima. You're right, he was sitting on a 0 in run number 1. Bit of a straight line approach there, gets that wing pretty close to that first outer zone, but you can see here, unable to fill that second outer zone and way off that first inside clip. Wrapping around the final turn there, dropping a tire right before the finish line, so he will get out of that 0 situation, but now he'll be waiting to find out where he lines up into the top 32.
Yeah, it'll be good. Really don't want to see any double zeros. Now we only have 2 more zeros in qualifying so far.
We've walked off the ledge, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. It would really suck to see half the field getting buys through the top 32 tomorrow, wouldn't it?
Yep.
So that will not be the case. So score there, okay, fairly middle of the road there, 67 for Hiroshima. Good entry speed. So Hiroshima all the way from Kyushu, but he's not the furthest entrant from today's competition. We have two guys from Okinawa, which is a long way away. It's like saying there's, guys from Hawaii entering Formula Drift in the United States. Okay, next driver now, Yoshinori Shinozaki, JZX100 Mark II. Big front wheel lock off on the entry. Trying to scrub off a lot of speed right at the last second there. Of course, Shinozaki also sitting on a 0 in his first run. Wow, that car looked right at the edge of control there. You saw the entry, but watch the entry. He initiates and then steps on the brakes, but then the passenger side front wheel locks up. That could have gone really bad.
Well, we're starting to see the 00 guys have a tendency to play it a bit more conservatively, and obviously you can see why. They just want to make it into tomorrow's competition. But right there, you're right. He had that lockup coming out of outer zone 1. Then he's on a really bad line here. He's not even able to make it back to that second inside clip. So it will be a low score, but he will be in the top 32 nonetheless, as we have just 3 drivers now that are completely out of competition, which means that if every driver gets a score from here on out, we will see a full 32 field completely tomorrow.
That's what we want to see here at Suzuka Circuit. So qualifying today, main competition tomorrow, so make sure you clear your schedule for tomorrow's competition. I don't know what time it is because I've been getting messages from people all around the world telling me that, hey, we're watching you, and telling us that the live stream's not working, we can't hear the sound. Hopefully that's all fixed now. Unfortunately, we apologize for all that mess this morning. The sudden rain and thunderstorms had played a lot of issues with the electrical equipment here. So hopefully things should be okay now.
Well, we are looking at much better weather for tomorrow, so from what I can tell.
It should be okay tomorrow. Now the time here in Japan is just about 3:20 in the afternoon. So tomorrow's competition will actually start at 9:40 a.m. Japan time. So if you want to know the schedule for tomorrow, so get out your phone. Okay, so score there, Shinozaki, 49. Not a great score for him, but it's not a 0. So that will put him through to the top 32. Okay, so we're just going to go to a quick commercial break as we did last time after Shinozaki's run. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stay with us. We'll be back with the last part of qualifying, the pointy end of the field here at Suzuka Circuit for. どうも皆さんお待たせいたしました。これはフォーミュラドリフトジャパンラウンド1 Suzuka. Sorry, we're doing the English one, right? Aren't we? Formula Drift Japan. You're meant to laugh now, Ryan.
Oh, I thought you were being serious.
No. Welcome, Formula Drift Japan live stream. Qualifying run 2. If you've just joined us now, we are in the pointy end of qualifying. The second run. Hello, my name is Alexi Smith. Noriero, if you know that. I'm here with Ryan Sage, all the way from the United States. We are doing your commentary this weekend for round 1 of Formula Drift Japan. Really looking forward to it. A lot of drama so far here today as far as the weather has gone. Right in the middle of practice, it started absolutely bucketing down all of a sudden and stopped for a while, and then all of a sudden it started again, followed by thunder and lightning, which knocked out the electronic scoring system and also played havoc with the live stream. But we're fine now, we're all good, we're here, we've got some drifting to go. Here we go. So second half of the second run bracket for these drivers now. Ikuo Saito. Nice, throwing it down up against the wall, out of zone. Good run here so far. A little bit wide on the first inner clip. Watch him flick it back here, nice and smooth, around the second clip and over the finish line. Pouring smoke out of the back of that JZX100.
Yeah, I really love his commitment to the initiation. He doesn't quite get the timing right coming out of the chicane, and a lot of drivers will want to spend some time focusing on that tomorrow. But look at this right here. Pretty good rate to angle. You can see here he doesn't push all the way out as deep as some of the guys, but really that zone, they just want to see that back bumper get onto that white line there. So he was just a couple feet off, so not bad. It will be a decent score for him. He's already got, actually,
Wasn't a great score on his first run.
Not a great score. So
his entry was fairly good, but the rest of it wasn't really that great. So,
right.
Yeah, but Ikuo Saito, you can really see the front of the car really dive down there as he hit the brakes, transferred the weight of the car to the front. Now that's the kind of driving you see the top-end guys doing. Watch the attitude of the car as they come in. Now the guys who sort of take more of a mild entry, you'll see the car sort of sitting fairly flat through the corner. But the guys who are really, really aggressive are the ones who go in. The front of the car is raising up off the ground, and then they slam on the brakes as they flick it in, as they tip it into the corner, which allows the rear of the car to swing around, and then you see the rear of the car duck down again as they get on the power.
Yeah, I mean, this course in particular, for people that are familiar with it and anybody that spent time in the drivers' meeting this morning, they really, the judges, Ryan Lantin, spent a little bit of time talking about the commitment needed to be able to fill outer zone 1 and 2 is basically pretty much full throttle right out of the chicane. You really have to get it just right to be able to fill those zones appropriately. Otherwise, you'll either be too long or too short. So getting it just right is really important here.
Yeah, this particular course is very, very severe on timing. To the drivers who have a good sense of basically everything, they have a good sense of how their car behaves, under these certain conditions, how they're feeling today. It can have a big impact on all those sorts of things. Big impact on how they perform here. And they don't really have time to adjust any sorts of mistakes. So they have to sort of throw it in, and if they fall up short, then they fall up short. There's no way to extend out without doing a massive handbrake pull, which will then ruin your speed for the rest of the course. So the score there, 76 for Ikuo Saito. Not too bad for him, an improvement over his 57. So Ikuo Saito, great entries, very gutsy looking entries from him. But missing a little bit. Of course, in previous year's competition, Ikuo Saito, a regular competitor in Formula Drift Japan. Showing a fairly similar sort of style. Just missing a little bit, what they say in Japan, they say plus alpha. I guess we say like X factor.
Oh, I like the plus alpha, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like the, whatever it is, plus alpha. It's
so if you're weak, would you be minus beta?
Oh, I don't know, I'll have to ask. I don't know. Okay, next driver now, Kazumi Takahashi. Big angle through sector 2. Nice clip, inner clip number 1. Watch him flick it back here. Nice tracking, the front end of the car tracking nicely around inner clip number 2. Nice run there for Takahashi. JZX100 Chaser. I want to watch this replay. I almost missed the entry. Let's watch this again.
Well, pretty good example here of a lot of the attributes that we've been talking about. You can see the rate to angle is pretty fast there. He gets right in that zone. That back bumper's right up on that white line, and then he's tight on that first inside clip. So overall, he's hitting all of his marks, doing well through the sectors. He had a lot of impact on initiation, got his timing right in general. This should be a pretty good score for him, especially considering his first score was a lower score of 54.
Yeah. So he was in that sort of part of the first runs where the track was sort of half wet, half dry, and it was catching out a lot of the drivers because the initiation point was fairly wet, but then it dried very rapidly after the outer zone number 2, just there, where you can see Formula Drift Japan, the big banner. That's where we are. That part of the course there dried up. Right there, started to dry up and the rest of the track was almost dry. So that caught out a lot of drivers. So even though they did good entries, they suffered on the rest of the track. So you can see there the course conditions. As good as dry now, so these guys can treat it as if it was practice on Friday afternoon. That they really like, especially the Japanese drivers, and is the amount of track time they get. They enjoy the fact that they do have quite a substantial amount of practice time, which allows them to dial in their cars and their driving, especially for the guys who travel from a long way away and don't get to drive this particular track that often.
That's an 89.
So an 89 for Takahashi. Great score for him. going to put him up the pointy end. I've got to come up with another euphemism. I say pointy end too much.
You got to do some more research for me on that whole plus beta and all that stuff.
Well, I think it's just plus alpha.
Plus alpha, yeah. I'm into that. I like that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Okay, next one. Ichiyanagi. 1VR. Nice and deep. Nice. There we go. Out of zone number 2. Pop banging his way around the track. Good clip there. Now, this is looking like more of a good textbook sort of ride, like what the judges talked about in qualifying. So Ichiyanagi, his first run is 70. So consistent so far here today. Let's watch the replay for Ichiyanagi's S13 1VR.
Yeah, strong performance here by Ichiyanagi. You can see right out of the gate, he's already looking very aggressive. Pretty good rates angle. You actually see it a little bit snappier, but look at the line there. He just glazes that first cone on the beginning of outer zone number 2. He's a little bit long here on that last inside clip, but a lot of smoke on the course, so big wheel speed from him, wrapping all the way around that final turn there. Looking strong and aggressive, and it should be an improvement on his 70.
I would say it would be. Ichiyanagi is the type of guy, like when you talk to him, he's one of those drivers that doesn't really seem to have any sort of strat. He just goes out there and goes as hard as he can every time, and it pays off sometimes. So he's one of those sorts of drivers. No strat drifting.
What does that mean?
Strategy.
Oh, no strategy. Okay, gotcha.
Don't we say that? I don't know. I've been watching too much like game streaming and stuff. They're like,
I thought you said straps.
Straps.
Like he doesn't have a seatbelt.
Ah, straps. Yeah.
How are you?
Funny story about that. You go back and watch a lot of really old option videos of guys drifting, and you watch how many of those guys don't wear seatbelts.
Yes.
It's quite a worry, to be honest. Yeah, like seatbelts were not cool back in the days of mountain drifting.
That's not good.
That's not good, but okay, here we go. Here we go. Next driver now, Sheng Nian. Now, win it or bin it, Shen Nian. Nice speed. Hold it, out sector. The second sector in clip. Not bad so far. Speaking of no strat drivers, I think Sheng Nian's another one of those guys where he just throws it in as hard as he can and believes in his arms and legs that,
Well, having spent a considerable amount of time watching him over the years, not only here but in the States for at least 1 year, there's definitely been a marked improvement that I've seen from him in terms of his driving ability. Yeah. And you can see right there just the ability to be able to do things like that, even though it's not perfect, but being okay with throwing it out there all the way out to the wall as hard as he possibly can and hoping for the best and letting his training and everything else follow through.
That's it, yeah.
He had a 57, he had a 57 on his first run, so he's looking to better that, and I believe he will.
I'd say he would. That was a nice throw in there from Sheng Nian up against the wall. He had quite a few worrying spins yesterday in practice. I was watching him along the wall, ending up in a completely odd area of the track. Like, how'd you end up over there? But great run there from him, improving rapidly over the years. So next driver now. Cue the Jaws music. Toshimitsu Matsuda.
Bit of pressure here. He had a 0 on run number 1.
Remember last year where he messed up his entry, the start line 3 times in a row?
Yeah. That was at Okiabuki.
Okiabuki, yeah. But nothing like that this time. Masuda. Not bad so far for the Shark. Up on the rev limiter there, this particular car. Would this car pass not qualifying, tech in the United States?
Because of the
wing, that was sort of what I'm thinking of. The fin, sorry.
I believe that it probably would, though there are limitations on wing size. But I think because of where it's placed, it would probably. Maybe there would be a new rule instituted, but I don't see why on the face of it it would be illegal from the way I read the rule book.
Like a sub-rule stipulation 3.05, no shark fin accessories and no Mad Max bonnet scoop, like a blower scoops. That's not actually connected to anything. For the people who are wondering,
it's fake.
It's fake. It's not actually connected. Even the mechanism's not connected. It's just It's just an accessory. The word is kazari in Japanese, decoration. Just for decoration, but it looks hilarious and it's good for a giggle. So, yeah, Masuda.
And he does better. Well, he butters a
74 for Masuda. So, yeah, 0 on his first run. So we're out of the woods with zeros now, aren't we?
Well, Arino had a 0, right?
Did he?
Jin Arino.
Oh, he did. Sorry, yes. No, we have one more. Jin Harino in the S15, which, funnily enough, that's what we're looking at right now, isn't it? Yes, it is. Jin Harino, S15 Sylvia. Brand new build for this car. Close to stock in many of the unessential areas. Just barely making it through, making it to this round. Spinning on his first run, but we have a complete run now. So I think that's we're safe now for zeros.
Well, you can see here, obviously, not as impressive as some of the previous runs we've seen. He grabs a real big handful of E-brake there, is on it for quite a bit of time, and even with the blacks, you can see it pretty distinctly from the judges' stand. So not a very high-scoring run for Jin, but like you said, suffering from a vehicle that maybe is not as prepped or up to speed, up to snuff as some of the other vehicles in the series, but he will be in the top 32 nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good driver. Campaigning previously in the GTR-powered 180SX, which is sort of one of those fantasy, car and engine combinations you do in like Forza, those sorts of games where you do those silly engine swaps. Real-life version of that car, but not really performing that well last year. Splitting from his previous sponsor, this time building his own car and campaigning his own S15. Of course, Jin Harino, also a professional racing driver, so able to scrape up the sort of resources one would need in order to build and campaign his own car. Like I said before, he said hopefully he's going to have the car ready to go for Ebisu. He's really looking forward to performing well there. So looking forward to seeing him. Okay, so our next driver, I'm sort of wondering about Fukada, whether he's going to come out. We missed Tadahiro Fukada's second run, so that may be a retirement. They will have to get word on that.
Yeah, it would be unless he's called the competition timeout within the past 5 minutes.
Right. But he does have a score, so he should be okay. Okay, next driver now, Koichi Yamashita. Weld work. JZX 100. Nice. Throwing up against zone 1, zone 2. Nice in-clip there. This second half of the course is looking really good so far. Little tap of the brakes to bring the rear of the car around. Obviously a lot of grip on this big JZX 100. He's got some huge tyres in the back of that. Quite well set up. This car almost being written off last year at Okoibuki, going backwards into the wall on the first corner. But back this year, first round. Let's watch the replay. Koichi Yamashita, JZX 100 Mark II.
So Yamashita here, his second approach. You can see right there just a bit off that first outer zone. Much better on the second outer zone here. Pretty tight on that first inside clip. Now looking for this line to hit that last and second inside clip. So doing pretty good on the line after initiation and outer zone 1. But will have the impact to impress the judges. He's got a 63 on his first run, so he is looking for an improvement there. I think he'll get it.
Yeah, of course, that big wing on the back of that car sort of contributing to the impact factor. As far as the gallery, that's what they call it in Japan. The spectators are concerned. Really nice looking car, that one. Okay, next driver now. Now, this is Mad Mike. All the Kiwis watching, I know there's a few. Here's Mike. Now this car, it's a loaner. The Team Magic car, basically the inlet manifold slightly warped, allowing air into the engine, causing it to not run properly. This car, a loaner, 3-rotor. Mad Mike deep into the outer zone. Really heavy on the handbrake to try and get it out there. Nice smooth run on the second half of the course. Just keeping it right there at about 8,000 or 9,000 RPM. That sounded really good there. It's 20B engine. Let's watch this replay. Mad Mike, this is, in a borrowed car.
It's quite impressive that he can step into a car that he hasn't driven before, do a lap or two, and then come down and throw down runs like that. It's not going to be the best run of the day, but it certainly is impressive. He had an 81 on his first run, so he's looking to see if he can better that as Mad Mike finishes for the day. His second run in the books now, and just waiting on the judges' scores.
Yeah, but this particular car, it belongs to a driver called Fujinaka. It has actually been campaigned in competitions before for many years now, that particular car. So I would say it's fairly well dialed in, and I guess Mike would be fairly used to the handling characteristics of the FD chassis, taking nothing away from his skill as a driver. So good to see Mad Mike. His first run was great. His second run, pretty good too, so 76 there. His first run was better. An 81 on his first score. But still Mad Mike. I actually heard that they may be swapping the body panels from his humble RX-7 onto this one.
That's neat.
Yeah, well, we'll see how far they go. But if they can do that, it'd be pretty funny. So it's a loaner, but it may end up looking like his original car. Okay, next driver now, Daichi Oshiro. Watch the throw here. Huge angle to outer zone 2. Daichi Oshiro, gutsy run from him every time he's out there. Not a bad run there from him. I can hear the Japanese commentators giving him a fair amount of props on that run too. Let's watch this replay. Watch this entry.
Well, going for the backward entry here. He almost pulls it off, but just doesn't have enough momentum to carry it around. You can see the arc there, kind of unsmoothens out, and he has to pull a little angle out of the car to make it through. But a good attempt there. He already has a very high score from his first run of a 74. So I think he will maybe be around the neighborhood there.
Yeah.
He's already into the top 32, so just trying to better that 74.
Of course, it is it's that fine line between just throwing it in at 120% or going at 100%. You never know how it's going to turn out. Of course, as you said there, I guess unsmoothens is probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's a word.
I don't know if it's a word, but to be honest, it works. That is an improvement. 85 there. Of course, the style, yeah, but like what we like to see, throwing it in there. But he threw it in, but getting towards the inner clip, he just kind of.
It's hard to really do the backward entry right here because of the way that this turn is constructed.
That's exactly
if it was
right.
About cut in half and went straight back up that way, then you could kind of. But I think we're going to see from Yokoi and this guy right here.
Semi Tanaka. Yeah, Semi Tanaka going out right now his second qualifying run. And like you just called it there, but that was a bit too much there for Semi Tanaka. Backing the rear of his car off the track, sending the zone end marker flying. Let's watch this replay. So, like you just said there, Semi Tanaka throwing it in really hard, but it's that fine line between looking cool and looking uncool.
Well, he's got that 88. You can see he's completely backwards there, but he doesn't have the trajectory right to make it around this turn here. So that did not benefit him. I don't think it's going to better the 88. Obviously, he went off course there, but fun to watch nonetheless, and exciting as he prepares for the top 32 tomorrow.
I'm going to guess that Semi Tanaka is going to be stick with that crazy 88 score. So we have a few drivers to go now. Only a few left. If you're just joining us now, where have you been? We're almost done here today at Suzuka Circuit for round 1 of Formula Drift Japan. It's qualifying today. Big variations in the weather today. Yesterday, nice weather, just regular sort of dry, slightly overcast. This morning, same sort of weather. All of a sudden, huge squall of a storm. just dumped down upon us. Caused quite a few problems with the equipment here, so we apologise for the guys who have been with us this entire time. I hope we're making up for it right now with this action, especially right now, getting towards the top of the field. 64 there for Semi Tanaka, so not improving on his 88. But it was worth his gamble, I'd say. He could have, if he'd have pulled that off, it would have been very impressive. And next driver now, Kazuya Iizuka. Competing in Formula Drift Japan for the past couple of years. Brand new build for him is S15, powered by an SR20, 2JZ engine with a huge Borg Warner turbo on it. And here we go. Iizuka. Well, not really on the accelerator all that much. He's off the accelerator for a long time there on the entry, just sort of letting the momentum of the car carry him around rather than getting the power down and pushing the car around like we see most of the guys do. So not the most aggressive run for him, but let's watch this replay.
Yeah, certainly a pretty distinct difference between Iizuka's run and what we saw from Tanaka and even Mad Mike and Oshiro, with a lot of aggression, really trying to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks there for run number 2. But for Iizuka, pretty conservative here. He had a 62 on his first run, looking to better that and move up the grid a few spots in the top 32.
So 62 on his first run. Not too sure if it'll be an improvement over that. You can see there the masks on some of the guys here. Of course, it is pollen season here in Japan. This particular track surrounded by cedar trees. So it can get a little bit sneezy if the wind picks up. Okay, 72 there for Iizuka. So it was an improvement over his first run of 62. So luckily for him. Next driver now, Kazuya Taguchi. Up Garage. Sponsored S15 Silver. Well, not so much sponsored, but he actually works there. Taguchi working at the Up Garage GT location in Machida. Pretty good destination for anyone who's a car fan who wants to visit car stuff in Tokyo. And here we go, right up against the wall. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Is this going to be our highest score so far? He's ticking all the boxes so far. Great entry, outer clip, inner clip. Here comes the second inner clip, over the finish line. Round of applause there for Taguchi. Great run for him there. Aggressive entry and then holding that aggression the entire way around. Let's watch this replay. Taguchi.
Well, I think as far as line is concerned, it may not get better than that. I mean, watch this initiation. Boom, right up against the wall. Now watch his back bumper. White line all the way across, fills the entire zone there. Very tight on that first inside clip. Let's see how he does in the second inside clip. He's right there. So, I mean, line, I don't even know where you do a deduction. I mean, that was as perfect as it's gotten all day, and maybe as perfect as it gets. Couple little minor things in terms of angle, but this is a great run overall. And of course, that initiation, you know, quick rate to angle, right up against that back wall. Very exciting, great impact. Nice job there.
Yeah, if you compare that run, compare the entry to some of the other people we've seen so far, like you said, angle is probably the weakest part of that run there from Taguchi. Was a little bit shallow, I guess, on the entry, but never. I mean, that's comparing it to the line.
We're splitting hairs.
We're splitting. I mean, that's comparing it to the line and the style we saw there. So there you go. So there you go. Score angle was only 33. Only 96. Kazuya Taguchi.
That's the second highest score we've seen this year so far in both series.
This year's okay. Yeah, so great run.
In Long Beach.
I mean, it's kind of a mean thing to do. Like when you get a run like that, and you go, "Well, his angle was a little bit off." Like, I guess it's all relative, isn't it? Great run, Taguchi. Okay, 3 more guys to go here. These are the ones to watch. Next driver, Kazuki Hayashi in the Toyota 86. Here comes his entry. Fairway off the wall. Line a little bit lacking there. Yeah, definitely line is going to be the weak part of this particular run. I think attacking the run fairly well. His speed was good. His angle was okay, but his line was just way off there. Let's watch the replay.
Yeah, I mean, after the 96, it's really hard to compare. I mean, he's going to obviously get a score in the book. I believe he was he a scratch on run number 1? I believe he was.
Yes, he was.
And that was our final scratch. So you can see here just struggling to put down a run comparable to that 96, but obviously that's going to be hard for just about anybody. He will have a score in the book. It's probably going to be middle of the pack here. And that leaves us with 2 drivers to go. We've got Yokoi and Andrew Gray, our final 2 drivers here, to find out who is going to be positioned where in that 32 bracket for tomorrow.
Yeah, so good run there for Hayashi. He will get a score for that.
67.
67?
No, that's my guess.
Oh, you got to tell me. We'll see.
I don't know, this analog. Oh, 74, okay.
There you go. I mean, that's the other problem too. You got to. That's the problem the judges have, is you can't look at it compared to what you just saw or anything else, right? I mean, I know you know, but still good score there for him. Okay, here we go. Last 2 drivers in qualifying. Masashi Yokoi, S15 Sylvia, 2JZ powered. Second place in last year's championship standings. Score of 94 on his first qualifying run.
With a spectacular exit in Nokiabuki, remember that?
Yeah, that particular crash, he touched tyres with the car in front and it threw him off the course and hit the corner of a concrete block. Here we go, Yokoi! Speed! Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's got a... There was a little bit of a hesitation there from Yokoi right at the end of outer zone number 2, right in front of the judges. There was a bit of a hesitation. Did you see that? He may have missed a downshift, which made his line suffer a bit. Let's watch the replay.
Well, let's keep Hayashi in mind because that's the comparison there. Now, he doesn't scrape the wall like, or not Hayashi, rather, Taguchi, but he does get very deep into that second outer zone. So near perfect there. And then the latter part of the course, that first inside clip and the second inside clip in terms of line, pretty good. You can see here from another angle just how tight he is onto that first inside clip, just rubbing the bumper right there. And then that nice, the judges really love, especially the angle judge, really loves when you go from lock to lock in those positions. And Yokoi did a great job of that there. So I don't know if it's going to be the 96, but it certainly will probably likely be around the neighborhood of his previous score, which was a 94, maybe a little bit lower because of that little hiccup that you caught there. So let's see where it falls for Yokoi.
Yeah, so we just saw that in the replay. Just barely clipping the inner clip there. Went a little bit shallow into that. There was some sort of little hiccup as he was exiting the outer zone. But still, the rest of that run, in comparison, a great run, very fast, very deep into that corner. Like you see a lot of the guys, they slow down a lot coming into the outer zone 2 in front of the judging stand. But he was holding his speed almost the entire way. 93 there for Yokoi.
Well, he's certainly been the most consistent, a 94 and a 93 out of all the drivers. I think that's definitely the most consistent that we've seen at the highest level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yokoi with, as you said, a 94, then a 93. I mean, that could have been a higher score than a 93 if he didn't have that little mistake just in front of the judging stand, I would say. But they're still great back-to-back scores there, 94, 93. Here we go, last year's champion and the last round of qualifying today, Andrew Gray. Long run out against the wall. Nice clip there, inner clip number 1. Watch him flick it back here. Oh, nice angle there from Andrew Gray. Inner clip number 2 over the finish line. Smoke pouring off the car like water.
Well, you can definitely see the difference between these mid to high 90s and the mid to high 80s. Andrew had an 89 on his first run, and he's trying to back that up. Now you can see he's a bit off that first outer zone, not completely into that second outer zone, so he's not really getting the line that Yokoi and Taguchi had, nor is he getting that big rate to angle on initiation. So it's a good run for him. It's going to be most definitely in the top 10, but you can certainly see the difference between those 94s, the 95s, and the 96s.
Yeah, absolutely. It gets is exponentially the right word. More and more impressive as the scores go 1 point up, 1 point up. So score there 88. So one off, but again, a fairly consistent run there. Two consistent qualifying runs there. Andrew Gray, 89 and 88, as you'd expect. So our top score of the day, Kazuya Taguchi with a 96. That puts him in first place for tomorrow's qualifying. As for tomorrow's battles, because we have a top 32 battle bracket, which has now been filled. So hopefully you'll be back tomorrow. So what I want you to do right now is get out your phone, or get out your little desktop calendar, or the one you got from the mechanics, or from that rep who came out to that one time to give you one of his calendars. The ones you keep on your desk, the little flip over ones, or if you're a mechanic, the ones you keep on the back of the bathroom door. Go grab that. Hello, that's where you can see us. Hey, here we go. So what I want you to do is get out your phone, and maybe can we see that? Is the white balance going to show that? I'll read it out. So right now, the time in Japan is, I'm going to check my phone. It's 4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock right in the afternoon. Now, top 32 tournament. 9:30 a.m. Sunday Japan time. Okay? Now, if you don't know what time it is in Japan, just get out your phone, and if you have an iPhone or whatever, just say, just go like this. Siri, what time is it in Japan right now? Right? And
the time in Tokyo is 3:57 p.m.
Okay, it's that easy. That's all you have to do. Set a timer and join us tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Japan time, Tokyo time, okay? And that will be the start of the top 32 tournament battles. That's where you'll be able to see all the drivers entered will be battling from then on. And that will go until 12 o'clock. And then you have to join us again at 1 o'clock. Did you write that? 1:40? Oh, sorry, yeah. Is 1:30 easy to say? 1:30.
Yeah, sure.
That'll be easier. Join us again, and the second time will be 1:30 p.m. Sunday, Japan time, for the top 16 to the final tournament battle. So we got two live stream times on tomorrow. Hope you can join us for those. So once again, 9:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m.
And all this information is available on the Formula Drift Instagram page as well for all the global time zones if you don't want to
there you go. Okay.
talk to your phone.
All right, okay, all right. Well, yeah, jump on Instagram, the Formula Drift, the American one. The regular one. It has international, like East Coast, West Coast times, right? Okay.
East Coast, West Coast, Europe.
There
Central
you go.
America,
so
everything.
You have to stay up for it or wake up early for it. Hope to see you then. This has been Alexi Smith, Ryan Sage. We're your commentators for this weekend. We really hope we'll see you again tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye for now.